Here is a revised version of the story with improved sentence structure, while keeping the original narrative intact. My mother loved only my brother, the golden child, when I moved away from them. I inherited $8 million from my aunt, and my parents began threatening me with a lawsuit when my mom married Alex. Everything I thought I knew about family got turned upside down. I was 14, awkward, and just trying to get through high school. My mom, Sarah, had been a single parent my whole life, and while we weren't rolling in money, she'd always made me feel like I was enough. Then she met Alex. Alex had a son, Brandon, who was 17 at the time. He was the golden child from the moment we stepped into his world. He had that kind of confident, carefree attitude that made him popular with adults and apparently with my mom too. From day one, I felt like an outsider in my own home. They acted like a ready-made family with me as an extra that came along with the package. It didn't take long for me to realize my place in this new dynamic. I'd walk into a room, and Mom and Alex would be sitting with Brandon, laughing or watching TV together. But when I joined, things grew tense, almost like I was intruding. If I tried to talk, the vibe shifted immediately. I got one-word answers or those fake smiles that didn't reach their eyes. One night, I remember coming home late from school. I was on the debate team, and we'd had a late practice. When I walked through the door, Alex was furious, waiting in the kitchen like I'd committed some crime. "Where were you?" he demanded, his voice echoing through the house. I was taken aback. Mom knew I had debate practice, but she was standing behind him, silent. I stammered out the explanation, looking over to her for support, but she just looked at me like I was lying. "It's not safe for you to be out that late," Alex said, shaking his head. Brandon had come home way later than me plenty of times, but somehow that didn't matter. He was responsible. I was reckless. After that, things only got worse. Brandon and I shared a bathroom between our rooms, and every time something was out of place, an empty shampoo bottle, a towel on the floor, it was always my fault. Once, Brandon left his dirty laundry all over the bathroom, and Alex stormed into my room, accusing me of being messy and disrespectful. I tried to explain it wasn't me, but he cut me off, saying, "Don't make excuses, Rachel. Just clean up after yourself." Brandon was in his room the whole time, probably hearing the entire thing and laughing. There was this one weekend that really made me question everything. We were supposed to go to the lake, a family outing as Alex called it. I've been looking forward to it all week. I wasn't naive enough to think it would fix everything, but I was hoping for at least one good memory with all of us together. But that morning, when I was getting ready, Mom came in and said, "Honey, I think it might be best if you stay home this time. Brandon's been stressed with school, and he just needs some time to relax." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I tried to protest, but she'd already decided. They left without me. I spent the whole day alone in the house, feeling like a ghost in what was supposed to be my own family. When they came back, they didn't even ask me how my day was. They just walked in, laughing and talking about the lake like it was some private memory I wasn't allowed to share. Over the next few months, it became clear that I wasn't just an outsider. I was the scapegoat. Every minor issue was somehow my fault. If Brandon got a bad grade, it was because I distracted him with my attitude. If something went missing, I was careless and irresponsible. I once overheard Alex telling my mom, "Rachel's going to end up a problem if we don't put her in line." My own mom just nodded like he was right. Then one afternoon, Brandon and I had our first real confrontation. He was in my room, rummaging through my things like he owned the place. I walked in and asked him what he was doing. He just shrugged, pulling out a necklace my dad had given me years ago. "What's this?" he sneered, holding it up. "That's mine," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, but he just laughed and dangled it in front of me, making a game out of it. I reached out to grab it, and he yanked it back, still laughing. I was fuming. We started shouting at each other, and my mom and Alex came running. But instead of asking what happened, they immediately turned on me. "Why are you always causing problems?" Alex snapped. "Mom, he was in my room." I protested. "He was going through my stuff." But she didn't listen. "Rachel, can you stop being so difficult? Brandon's just trying to get along with you." That night, I sat in my room, replaying the whole situation in my head. It didn't matter what I said or did. I could never win. To them, I was the problem, no matter how hard I tried. It wasn't long after Mom and Alex got married that things went from bad to worse. Every day felt like a battle where, no matter what happened, I was the one left with the blame. Brandon's behavior only added fuel to the fire. He was messy, disruptive, and seemed to make it his mission to push every possible boundary in the house. But it was like nobody else saw it but me. One night, Brandon threw a party in the basement while Alex and Mom were out. I kept to my room, trying to drown out the music and the noise of his friends stomping around the house. They left trash everywhere, empty soda cans, snack wrappers, you name it. I didn't touch any of it, figuring Brandon would clean up his own mess. But the next morning, Alex barged into my room, furious. "Rachel, this place is a disaster," he yelled, waking me up. "How could you be so irresponsible?" I tried to explain that it wasn't me, that I hadn't even gone downstairs, but he didn't want to hear it. "It's everyone's responsibility to keep this house clean," he said. "I don't care if Brandon made the mess. You're part of this family too, and you need to help clean up." He walked out before I could even respond. Later that year, Mom announced that she was pregnant. I thought, maybe, just maybe, things would change. Maybe a new baby would make her feel like we were all a family. But as her pregnancy progressed, the house began to change, and I started to feel like more of an outsider than ever. Then one afternoon, Mom dropped the bomb. She came into my room with Alex and said, "Rachel, we need to talk. Since the baby will be here soon, we're thinking it would be best if you moved into the guest room." I was stunned. "Move? This is my room. Where am I supposed to go?" "The guest room," Alex replied, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. "We'll turn this room into the nursery for the baby. It's just better this way." "But I've been here my whole life," I stammered, unable to hide my shock. I looked at Mom, hoping she'd see how much this was hurting me, but she just gave me that same blank, indifferent look she always did. "Now it's just a room, Rachel," she said softly. "You'll be fine in the guest room. Besides, it's only fair. We need to make space for the new baby, don't we?" That weekend, Alex and Brandon moved my things into the guest room. It was tiny compared to my old room, barely big enough to fit my bed and desk. I stood there, staring at the plain, cold walls, feeling like I was a guest in my own house. All of my posters, my books, my personal things, they were now shoved into this tiny room that had none of the warmth or familiarity of my old space. I didn't even have my own closet anymore. They left most of my clothes in the hallway closet because there wasn't enough room in here. As the weeks went on, my old room was transformed into the nursery. I'd walk by and see Mom and Alex painting the walls, setting up a crib, picking out baby clothes, all while I sat alone in my cramped space, forgotten. Brandon seemed to take full advantage of my isolation. With Mom's attention focused on the baby and Alex wrapped up in helping her, he got away with everything. Once I found him in the guest room, digging through my things. "What are you doing?" I demanded, feeling a surge of anger. "Relax. I'm just looking for a charger," he said, not even glancing up. He kept rifling through my drawer, and when he finally found what he wanted, he smirked and walked out like he owned the place. I told Mom and Alex about it, hoping they'd finally see how disrespectful he was, but they just shrugged it off. "It's just a charger, Rachel," Mom said, exasperated. "Why do you always make such a big deal out of everything?" A few weeks later, Adam was born, my new baby brother. Everyone was over the moon, and for a brief moment, I thought things might change. Holding him for the first time, I felt a spark of hope, a belief that maybe he could bring us all together. But that hope was quickly snuffed out. From the moment he was born, Adam became the center of Mom's world. She'd spend hours in the nursery with him, while Alex hovered around, doing whatever he could to make her life easier. The attention, the praise, the focus, they were all on him. And me? Well, I was just a girl who didn't quite fit in. I wanted to leave, to escape the constant tension, the feeling of being unwanted, of never measuring up. The golden child was always going to be the golden child, and I was always going to be the shadow in the background. But I couldn't just walk away from everything I had ever known. I couldn't abandon my mom, even if she had abandoned me.